GMB going to do about this situation, do you think?
I actually think that all the unions at this particular point in time are wondering what they can do about this situation. I think the GMB are very proactive, but I do think we need to have a national response, and we do need to have officers in touch with each other in various parts of the country, because what we're seeing is people transferred from one part of the country, and if the GMB are very strong in the southwest when it comes down to supporting migrant workers, the issue is if they transfer them to another part of the country, say Peterborough or Sussex, have they got the same level of support? Because they take their membership with them to that part of the country. They may be able to inspire organisation within the migrant workforce. That needs to be addressed. But I do think that the approach that we have on whether or not we can actually get community leaders amongst the migrant workforce is a big issue. If we can actually use learning skills surveys to identify potential community leaders and get them to organise themselves, and then have backup from the GMB and other organisations that are related to their rights within this country, it would be much easier to deal with, because we will have a conduit for these problems to come to us. Whereas at the moment there's 1,001 different people with 1,001 different problems, and it's very hard to deal with them on that level. Well, also, one of the things that we have talked about, and I think is an absolutely splendid idea, is having an international workers branch in this area, which I think will bear fruit in terms of recruitment and organisation. It's not easy for a full-time officer with a heavy workload, as all of us have, to be everywhere at once. So let's see how it goes. I mean, we've got plenty of work to do on this situation.
How can we use video in the trade unions?
Which is an invaluable tool. For a reasonably small cost, we can actually produce goods to show to our shop stewards in the workplace, so that they can identify the problems with migrant workers, or in fact other issues as they come along, and how we can do interviews with our shop stewards, branch secretaries, about how they've specifically dealt with certain issues. Media, this kind of media, is a very powerful tool that the unions, I think, should have a look at. It's potentially one of the things we could do with it is actually create a series of educational films that show our shop stewards. We have new shop stewards out there who have, sometimes have to deal with situations they may not feel able to deal with. It would also give them a greater and more global perspective at what the GMB are actually about. I mean, it's feasible as well with the technology to create discs at a very small cost, and perhaps distribute them with our Proactive magazine, once they've been created and authored, so that it could be shown at branch meetings. I think one of the things about branch meetings, I think, is everyone considers them boring, and we get a very poor attendance in a lot of them. The idea of being able to see what is happening might actually inspire people to become more active within the branch, and that in itself will perhaps trigger an interest in the union which will lead to greater membership, and then greater influence in the workplace and greater support for the people who are our members. If we can highlight a set of issues using this kind of technology, then it's probably more interesting than reading about it in the newspaper, and it certainly gives its identity as that of the GMB and what we want to do about specific issues. I don't think that many people are aware of the plight of migrant workers in this country at a particular point in time, and perhaps there's even little sympathy towards them, but they are here to stay. The technology is improving all the time, in which we can actually highlight the things that are really important to us in terms of supporting them in the workplace.